Welcome back to ESL One Genting 2018. Live coverage coming to you from downtown Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia for day number 2 here. We've got one more day here in the Mineski studios. Thanks very much for their hospitality here. We're going to be bringing you the rest of the group stages before we head up to 6,000 feet above sea level to bring you live coverage from the Arena of Stars for the highlights rounds. It will be the last 6 teams in the playoffs, and we're still searching for those teams right now. We're going to move a step closer after our next and final series of day 2 as the SEA region takes on the Chinese regions. It's Newbee versus TNC. We've changed things up a little bit on the desk. We welcome the Hans back, and Blitz is with us for the first time today as well. Just quickly recapping on because I know what a Na'Vi fanboy you are. They haven't won that elusive big series against the top 3 team that you're basically measuring them by yet. Do you think they're closer to doing that though?
A little bit. I mean, when I said they were mediocre yesterday, I mean, it's just like, look, in the context of every team in the world, of course they're very good, but you're not comparing yourself to every team in the world.
No, they're comparing to Liquid and Secret and everything else.
That's what I want people to understand. Bad choice of words, but at the same time, like, you have to understand. Like, these are the only teams that matter in the world, because these are the teams that you will see in the finals. So who cares how you look?
Absolutely right. No, I mean, I often explain to people, we're talking about 99.9% brilliance of all of these teams, but it's the last 0.1% is actually separated by quite a big gap in some cases.
It's not linear. It's exponential. And so,
absolutely right.
And when you're a competitive team, you should only compare yourself to the very best, in my opinion, if you're really serious about it.
Okay, let's move on to this third and final series. It is Newbee versus TNC. We'll start things off with Newbee. We'll show you the lineup. Where are they right now?
So it's interesting because as Blitz was making that point about Na'Vi, I was actually thinking about Newbee. Newbee are a team that, I mean, they're coming off a runner-up finish at TI, right? 3-0, whatever. You get to that final stage at TI, and that's a hell of an accomplishment. Since TI, they have won exactly 4 best-of-3s against non-Chinese teams. Infamous, SG, Mineski, and Kingwin. And an EG, I'm sorry, and there was a, Kingwin was a best of 2. Sorry, the 4th was an EG team at ESL One Hamburger that was clearly a little bit down. They have not shown since TI that they can compete and win against the top teams in the world. And I think Newbee, as strange as it sounds for a team that's fine in the point standings, coming off that big result, I actually think they need a big result here in the next couple tournaments.
Yeah, Will, you're not completely convinced by them right now, are you? As being a top 3 or 4 team?
For sure, and for me, like, of course, those heroes, like, or those people at the top are always going to be the measuring stick. I thought that Newbee would be there with those teams. Like, it's not a surprise that I think maybe Secret is the biggest surprise in that group, but I thought Newbee would be in their stead.
I think like Liquid VP Newbee was what we were expecting, wasn't it?
I thought that was going to be like the dynasty. I thought that LGD, LFY, IG, maybe those teams, they played well at TI, but I didn't think they would hold their success. But I felt like Newbee, especially when you saw at the end of the True Sight, you saw how pained they were. I thought, okay, they're going to use that as motivation. Like, this is going to be their next time coming up. Maybe Liquid, they'll take their foot off their brakes a little bit, and it'll be Newbee's time to shine. That has not happened at all. It has felt like such a disaster. When they played against the other Chinese teams, fantastic. But otherwise, not too great.
Even in DPC results, if you take away Perfect World just for a moment, and you isolate the rest of it, it doesn't look good. I mean, Perfect World's kind of like a saviour tournament for them in many ways. TNC. I love these guys. They're always, it doesn't matter what the lineup is, they're always crazy, they're always doing nut stuff in SEA, but they've got a tough region to get out of now, because they've got Mineski and they've got Fnatic in there, so it's those 3 kind of fighting their way through it. And even just below that, some really competitive teams. So the fact that they get a chance to come here and show us what they can do, they've got to perform when they go up against a team like Newbee.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And TNC is, again, TNC is in the same boat as a lot of other teams that are pretty good, but not in that top 3 at this point in the season. This is sort of what I think of as the beginning of phase 2 of the season, where you got to have 2 things. All right, you want to build that momentum, go into these lands and start showing that you can put up those results against top teams, and you got to have a path to get better. How are we going to get better between now and TI? And I don't necessarily see that for TNC. They're in this situation where Raven's numbers are a bit off in this patch. Maybe that's just because of the how the carry role is right now, but you're looking at a player that's usually top 5, and he's more like top 25 now. Cuckoo, a lot of his signature here is the Queen of Pain, the Tinker of the Lina, not very good in this meta. Sam H, not showing the same kind of diversity that we've seen out of him in the past. And these are 3 cores that have finished top 8 at a TI before. The expectations for them a little bit higher than I think they've shown.
Yeah, and that's the difference, Will, now, isn't it? When we look at this team, is in the past you've kind of gone, great potential. That these guys should be able to do something. They can maybe drag SEA to the top 4 in TI, and they can be really great, and they can relive the orange days, and it can be amazing. But actually, have they peaked? Have they gone as high as they can? Because as Alan points out, they haven't really gone any further now. And we can't keep using that whole, they've got great potential. They've got to deliver at some point.
Yeah, at some point, unrealized potential is unfulfilled. It becomes nothing, and you can't just keep going back to that same, like, oh, well, maybe this time will be the time. Well, you're already halfway through the season. You got to perform where it matters right now. You technically have home field advantage. You're in the Southeast Asian region. Like, you don't have to travel very far, if at all. Like, this should be one of your landmark events, and they're playing against a team, Newbee, who honestly doesn't have that aura around them anymore. Right. And so if they're going to win a series, this would be a very nice one to get into.
Draft about to begin. I also want to just finish off on TNC. They're 11th right now, Alan.
Yeah.
They're not far away.
No, that's
not that far. You know, come up with a couple more top 4s and maybe some big finishes at majors, and suddenly they're in contention.
Well, but it's funny as it sounds. I don't think the issue for TNC is that points race. I think all of us have the sense that they're going to be in that points race by the end. But again, when you think about these teams are not trying to make TI. They're trying to forge a path where they're going to be in that top 4, top 2, and on the platform.
Are TNC doing that though, Will? I think they're literally just hanging by a thread here to try and get in. They need to get into TI, and then
I think
that's got to be goal number 1.
Depending on who the team is, the goals are very different. Yeah. Because TNC has been to a TI, they've been to an underdog team. They were the team that knocked out OG.
Yeah.
And so they understand, like, once we get there, it'll be a little bit different. But for a lot of these other teams, like, they're going to be looking... I mean, some teams have already made changes. You saw Fnatic, their roster looked very decent, but they got second at the Summit. Still kick Ohio for Universe, and the reason they do that is because they felt, okay, maybe we're on path for TI, but we're not on path for winning TI.
Yeah. Right.
EG, they were also what? I don't actually know what they are in the DPC.
They were 7th.
So
they're 7th
right now. Yeah.
And, you know, giving up a player as well who has a lot of points, they take that risk. They're like, okay, it's whatever, because at the end of the day, we're good, but we're not the best.
And we could be a lot better.
Yeah, and I think TNC, I mean, this is a huge tournament for them because it'll kind of show where they are relative to the rest of the world.
Okay, got a couple of picks on TNC's side. They've gone for a Sanking Witch Doctor opener, and Newbee have gone with the Tusk, which we're fast believing, Will, is becoming the meta support now.
Yeah, that hero, what it can do with Ice Shards is kind of unbelievable. We saw it with how Roger used it. Pretty much all of his spells have great utility. He's got a BKB. You can always pick up people in Snowball, so it's like a pseudo BKB. You just like hold them in. Nobody does any damage.
It's arguably, you can talk about Guardian Angel as well, but it's really the only AoE save in Dota is Snowball.
Yeah.
I think it's just the playmaking potential for that spell is huge. But this is a series, I think it's very unlike the first series today where we talked about the importance for Penna of the draft. This is a series that probably will not be won or lost in the draft. Newbee and TNC both fairly on the conservative end of the drafting spectrum, and you can see that in the very kind of conservative dual support open here for TNC. Neither team features much in the way of flex picks. Really, the big flex pick for TNC is the Nyx Assassin, and it usually gets banned against them. I'm a little surprised with it on the table here that they didn't go anywhere near it.
Be a weird Nyx game though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think Nyx and Sanking are, aside from the fact that they're like both bug-like things with like stuns that like.
You'd think they would be perfect for each other, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but they're just like sort of the same hero.
Yeah.
I think Moonmeander once told me, he said, it's kind of rough when you pick a 4 and a 3 position that fulfill the same role.
Yes.
Like that just do the same thing. Because then, you know, there are plenty of other heroes that you could have picked that add more diversity to your lineup.
Yeah.
I think Nyx may be the exception to that rule just because he's so item independent, because he can afford to build Midas, and if you can pick him alongside a hero that has a similar function but scales with farm, and I think get away with that. But for the most part, I agree.
What are your thoughts on Teven in this team?
As well, like
adding experience, drafting, knowledge.
I mean, I think
coaching background. He's got everything that that team needs, surely, isn't he?
I think he's a really smart player.
Yeah.
I think the knock on him sometimes is that mechanics-wise, he might lack once in a while.
Which is fine as a 5.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to like experience and his overall game understanding, I think it's very high.
Yeah, it's got to help this team, isn't it?
Yes. Because these guys, I mean, he has really, really strong mechanical players behind him. And so he just has to be the general. He doesn't really have to do much more than that.
Yeah, what I like about Theban is that he has a lot of game knowledge and he knows some of the more quantitative metrics, but he's also not afraid to play a hunch and draft based on feel. I mean, I remember a year ago at Starletter in Shanghai, he kind of brought back Jakiro into the meta. He picked Jakiro and just blitzed a couple teams, and I remember asking him, well, man, hey, what's with this Jakiro pick? And he's like, I just felt like it'd be good. Felt like picking it.
He did? Really? He didn't? He wasn't like...
There wasn't...
I had a chat with Red Eye, like he was telling me, like, Jakiro's the real deal, you need to just pick it.
No.
We actually did have those conversations
I'm
with
sure
bizarrely,
you did.
but there was no way he was ever going to pick it on mine, that's for sure. Ban's complete, phase 2. We're into second phase now for this pick. Where did TNC go, Will?
So they have decent team fight. They probably need a hero that deals okay with a jug in the laning phase. But I'm assuming, I think Razor's banned, if I can see that correctly.
Deals okay with a jug? You're assuming that...
No, with the Omni.
Oh,
sorry.
with the Omni, okay. All right.
Yeah, Razor banned, which would have been a decent Raven pick, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would have been really nice.
Yeah. I think Razor is Raven's most played 10 and 5. They've run Kuko on it once. This I really like. I'm just surprised that we haven't seen this hero play more of a role in the tournament.
Hasn't
Do you
played
take Tinker?
I mean, Miracle, yeah, but... so if the tables were turned, this would be, I think, a snap Tinker pick, but Newbee is not a big Tinker team. It's not a big SCCC hero.
They can wait for a 0-2. That's what they like to do anyways.
No, SCCC is almost always the 5th pick for Newbee. I mean, it makes a lot more sense now that they took SF off the table.
How has he fared, do you feel, over the last 12 months, Will? SCCC? Again, another flashy kind of mid. He had a spectacular 2016. 2017 was a bit tougher for him, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that he was the best mid in China, far and away. He brings a lot to that team. But it's hard to say because, when your team looks bad, everyone looks bad.
Yeah.
What was that? Remember that secret team when they were just like losing everything? Every one of those players went on after that great individual careers.
Yeah.
But they all looked horrible.
Right.
It's like it's hard to tell when your team is struggling, and Newbee is definitely struggling.
Well, and again, it's to me another similarity between both of these teams is that they both have snowball players, a little bit different ways. But SCCC is a guy that'll just snowball with a bunch of farm. Raven and Cuckoo are players that tend to snowball more off kills. But this is a patch that rewards a more even farm distribution among a team's cores. Single core strategies get really heavily punished, as we saw with the Sven earlier. So they just have kind of struggled to find that balance. This is the Cuckoo Death Prophet here. I really like as a complement to the Raven Terrorblade. I think that I like TNC's picks a lot better here through the second phase. I think, regardless of what Newbee come back with here.
Very conservative from Newbee to start with.
But that's what I'm saying though. Both of these teams tend to be fairly conservative in their approach to the draft. They're not gonna counterpick that heavily, but they're not gonna leave themselves open to being counterpicked.
Gotta show your carry right now.
I think, yeah, this is where they typically pick the Mugi hero.
Yeah, if you're not taking Tinker, then you take your carry.
What would you like here?
TNC.
Oh, alright, I'm going to Tinker out of the way.
So it's like,
okay.
I think that the hero it works too well against TB.
Yeah.
No risk of the ban, of course.
TNC would definitely ban it.
They would.
After they showed the TV.
Yeah.
You have to take it in third or fourth.
I think for sure, but it's still putting SCCC on a hero that he doesn't play that much of.
Dude, I'm sure he's grinded it. Everyone knows about Tinker.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know about the Chinese region, but at least in NA, that hero is everywhere.
Almost every game.
In my pubs, it feels so common.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying to play against.
Yep. So yeah, you go back and SCCC only has 3 Tinker games in the last 6 months. And 2 of them, he won a Captain's Draft match, won an in-house match about a month ago, and lost a Perfect World against LGD. So I agree. It's a great pick. It prevents TB from just pushing out those lanes for free, as Will and I were talking about the other day. But just a matter of whether SCCC can deliver one of those vintage performances.
Did they ban? So if I'm...
You ban what? So the same H big heroes, the Darkseer, the Batrider. And you're definitely looking for one of those here. I think you might want to ban... let's see. I'm a little bit surprised that TNC banned the Lycan over something like a Legion that would punish the Terrorblade.
So for TNC, I would be okay with picking something like... what's that hero? Now I'd be okay with Nyx.
Yeah, I agree.
And if I'm Newbee...
Especially against Tinker.
If I'm Newbee, I'd probably just straight up take Slark.
Slark?
Yeah.
All right. You got me. You tell.
I think that Slark's just really good.
Yeah, they're going to take that. Okay, they're going to take it. Why is it such a good Slark?
Did they ban Nyx?
Yeah, they banned Nyx. That's
okay.
That's absolutely the ban.
So you think Newbee takes Slark?
Yeah, I think Newbee takes Slark.
Interesting, I like that.
Huh. All right.
A Moogie Slark.
My boy Moogs.
10 seconds remaining.
Give him the hero.
I mean, he's been his heroes this patch have been Gyro, Lifestealer, Timbersaw.
Monkey.
I'd be okay with Gyro too.
Yeah, I actually think I've been thinking more and more about it, and I like Gyro here. I think he can deal with the Terrorblade pretty well.
Moogs. Ask for it. Tell him, give me Slark, bros. Watch me carry.
I think I see part of what you're saying, but yeah, there's the Gyro.
They went for the sensible, boring.
I want you to explain to me off
option.
camera why you think it's such a good Slark.
I mean, I said Gyro or Slark, but I wanted Slark, and I'll tell you why after, because I think it's funny, but...
So TNC, if we're going to forward, so Darkseer is the big hero, of course, for Sam H. Batrider historically is something that he's really, really confident
5
on.
seconds remaining.
Also plays a lot of Doom that I could see being good.
Say a lot of Doom. Yeah.
I'd be down with some Doom. Just run at them.
No, it's just you play the percentages here again. Conservative approach to the draft. I actually really like this TNC draft.
And T been giving out his last orders to the team as well. He's quite forceful there, didn't he?
Yep.
How'd you rate those drafts, Will?
I think Newbee's draft is a bit harder to play, but I think the peak of it might be better. So I'm going with Newbee.
I'm gonna go TNC. I think this is about a 60-40 draft. I like the way the lanes are gonna shake out. I like the potential of the Terrorblade to just control the map even through the Tinker counter push because of the ability of the Batrider to pick off the Tinker. So I think TNC.
All right. And if Newbee had gone with the Slark?
There I need to talk to Will.
Some sort of private conversation going on about the Slark. I'll fill you in afterwards, it's fine. We'll get the skinny on it. Let's head over to our commentators for game number 1 of our final series of the day. TNC versus Newbee.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. And indeed, here we have it. Final game of day 2 at ESL Genting. Newbee TNC. I'm only picked some here with gods. What are we expecting? Did TNC, you saw them a bit at Galaxy Battles. Not too amazing over there.
Bit shaky. They didn't have a top 3, top 4 finish, which I think what they wanted. You know, you go in a tournament, EG with Sandin, OG with Standard, EG new roster. Surely that's their tournament, but nope, wasn't to be. But they're doing a lot better here. They beat FCA rivals Beneski. They're 1 game away from guaranteed top 6 playing in the main stage, so it's a better start for them.
And I mean, looking at this lineup already, I'm seeing some certain matchups that I'm thinking are going to be quite the scare for Newbee for a start. Raven Terrorblade, like that's one of his strongest heroes, isn't it?
Raven Terrorblade, Blade, Samich Batrider, Tim Sandking, maybe you could say even.
Sure, with the way.
Not Earth Spirit,
I mean, yeah, it's SK Earth Spirit. You know, the similar ways that they're played, but the roaming he's very good at.
It's definitely scary, but you know, you've got a Tinker. So Tinker against the Terrorblade, you've got the counter pick in play. You've also got Omni Knight, which is I think one of like the best heroes in terms of like high pick rates, like 60% win rate, despite the very high pick rate as well. So definitely a hero that KP can excel on in the offlane, and very good against the TB. You know, teamfight happens, you pop Manamorph, well, you Guardian Angel, try to keep everyone alive. This could be a bit of a trap here for Newbee if they go for this rune. KP. He doesn't know they're there.
Is staying away from them for 10 seconds. SCC. Oh, that's a bigger kill.
No, SCC. It's hilarious because we see how close they are.
Yeah.
Little does he know.
There is 2 of them. We'll see how well they can deal with it. They'll just go for KP as he hands himself towards them, as he heads up towards the high ground. He's got a Purification buying some time. He's going to get the kill. It will be Cuckoo on the Death Prophet, claiming that first blood and the bounty rune as well.
Who wants bounty runes? Stop. 3 bounty runes.
Well, that's true, yeah. The quick scribbles are made. Yep. Who's heading up there? Are we going to see the gyro check for them? He's coming to have a look, Moogie.
He'll take one and probably bat the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, bat TP then, so easy pickings. You want to go for the alley, probably just wants to get to lane faster.
So any surprise really with the lanes that we have from either sides? I mean, at the moment, what the Tusk looking to help out the Omni at the bottom and to keep that pressure onto the Terrorblade. It looks like elsewhere the matchups as expected. Tinker DP, top lane having Gyro being backed up by the Disruptor as they look to try and harass Sam H out of this lane. Is there any lane that you feel is particularly scary for one of the sides?
No craziness coming out from the lanes. I think Sam H is going to have a rough time against the Gyrocopter. The homing missile build very good at zoning him out. And Disruptor Static Storm, perhaps the best level 1 nuke. So Bat's going to need help, which is where Sanking already heading up top, I think, recognizing he needs to be there for when this Disruptor tries to zone and bully to go for the kills. Burrow Strike there to set things up, but unlikely with the level 1 Bat.
I think he gets some good body blocks,
yeah,
maybe.
With that, maybe.
I mean, he's trying for it, but Sam H didn't even have a think towards it. Maybe if they got a lot, but
if you get level 2, you have get
Sure.
a Flame Break or a Firefly. Either one could have perhaps got the kill there.
down bottom, Raven sees Morphsis screw himself that early CS. Does get sort of trapped back in by the shards, but good to give it the walk around.
Radiant called it. I wonder if that was to mess up with like a creep blast or something. Glyph against Tinker is always good, because he'll laser you so he can go for like a range creep blast here, then you glyph it and you can still get the deny.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I mean, look how aggressive Cuckoo's playing this lane. Coming in between the tier 1 and the tier 2, not seeming to be scared of any sort of potential rotation. I mean, he knows down bottom, Faith, he's not going to be coming to mid soon, as he is getting harassed by the 2 of TNC down on the safe lane. He'll be able to keep himself alive, but board down low. And yeah, just TNC with this sort of play down bottom and the pressure up top, keeping the supports in place, meaning that Cuckoo can play as crazy as he wants in that mid lane.
The fight for those 2-minute bounty runes as they kind of get split across the map and the invis rune picked up by Disruptor. Always fun to watch Cuckoo mid. He's like so hyper aggressive. Reminds me a lot of like how Sumail used to play mid lane when he was there, where he's always looking for the kill opportunity. He's not looking to just out farm his opponent. He wants to kill them.
CS-wise, SCCC does have the lead at the moment in this mid lane, 13 for 5 against the 7 for 1.
KP at the bottom, which is the crazy one.
On top, there is a bit of a goes being made onto Tims. Did Burrow striking aggressively? They have the Thunder Strike and the homing missile connecting. Looks like they don't quite have the physical damage to bring him down. Tims will be fine. Both him and Sam H kept very low. Regardless of how low they are, they want to go straight back in. Tims, he knows his limits, goes in with the Burrow Strike and the stick charge. Will get the kill, does lose his life for it as they get the 1-for-1 trade. Doesn't look like anything more is going to come out of it between Sam H and Moogie. Just the supports trading their lives.
Pretty even trade there. Nothing too crazy. It looked like Disruptor could have right-clicked the Sanking a bit more, but he's not going for it as early as he could have. But yeah, Raven kind of stabilizing bottom, equal CS to KP. Very tough matchup against the Omni, and unless you kind of have the Metamorphosis up, you're not going to be able to zone him out at all.
Rather relatively static lanes as it seems for now. Neither team looking to sort of rotate and put pressure on either side. I say that until now. It looks like we do now have the support movement coming in from TNC, as they may try and do something about SCCC.
Yeah, Death Prophet has more kill potential on Tinker than vice versa. You can slow, got some good nukes, and I believe we will be seeing
here they come in with the wraparound. They've managed to get him out in the mid lane, and that is going to be a kill for TNC. He tries to do his the best job to turn it around at CCC as he lays down the marks machines, but Cuckoo DP will be fine, and that's exactly what you want to see at this stage for TNC, really trying to make sure that this Tinker CCC can't get a crazy timing on his boots to travel, to hit him when it's easiest to do so in the early stages.
Yeah, Witch Doctor even rotated for that one as well. I think he TP'd to the tower to smoke up the Sanking. So you've a ward mid, well it doesn't matter, we're going to smoke up as 2 and guarantee we get this kill. So you're equalizing things a bit in the mid since Death Prophet was kind of behind on CS. See how these other lanes kind of shape up here. TNC with a couple of kills, but the lanes are being farmed and somewhat won by Newbee.
Yeah, definitely the biggest difference between the two offlaners at the moment. Sam H and, as you say, KP. KP storming ahead at the top of the board on his Omni Knight. Faith and 1437. Their eyes back towards the mid lane. 4037 has to be a little careful how close he gets. A bit of burst from the 2 of them may be enough to bring him down. Cuckoo level 5.
That's where Tusk can be very scary, you know. Level 2, level 3, all with Venom, you're so good at setting up kills wherever you go, so you really want to have partners for those kills. Problem is Omni in the off lane, very low in mana, Gyro safe lane, low in mana, and Tinker mid, low kill potential. So it feels like Faith, despite being very scary, doesn't actually have the orb and went for the boots. Doesn't have a clear lane to focus in on with aggression. It seems he's playing more as a defensive, sit behind cores right now, which is not really optimal for a Tusk in the early game.
Yeah, I think the thing as well is, you talk about what the Tusk can do now, and in the later stages, both the Tusk and the Omni, it's going to be very hard to potentially kill this Tinker. Having these two heroes backing him up, whether it be repels or jumping in with the chance to grab him in the snowball, give that blink time to cool down and get the extra jumps out if the Tinker gets caught. It could mean that it could get to the stage where it's very hard for TNC to break that high ground and do anything across the map in these team fights.
Oh, yeah.
If this Tinker gets to where he wants to be.
Yeah, it feels like it may turn into one of those long, like 40, 50, 6-minute games where TB has to itemize into BKB these items that can fight a Tinker and kill him, and then he has to hope that Sand hits a stun, Bat hits a lasso, and then he can BKB burst down Tinker. So it is kind of an interesting matchup because Tinker is like the counter to TB, but TB with the right help can actually burst down a Tinker. So it's not necessarily like an entirely one-sided matchup come late game.
I think the question is as well regarding the TB. I mean, we see what Arteezy did. Surely Raven's not the kind of guy to build a battlefield on the Terrorblade, or is he? Is he?
He's not getting queued up. If you're going to go for it, you go for it.
Sure,
right away.
yeah, absolutely. Well, top lane, Kaka will be jumped upon. They have the Maledict, Kaka will pop. Tims and Samage falling low as Mugi drops the cooldown upon them. They've got the Thunderstrike as well on Samage. Mugi trying to move in for the back kill, but he can't quite get it done. It's 3 sticky napalm stacks on the Gyro, but Tims and Samage have been too low to try and pursue for the kill, so they'll take the one and back themselves off from that top lane.
They might have a shrine that they can use as well. Not sure if they've popped that yet, but definitely the right call not to go on Gyro. He had 17 one charges, Rocket Barrage maxed out. Mid lane, Cuckoo, he's
getting aggressive. It's a good silence.
Cuckoo,
yeah, holding back KP's potential now. Does still get the purification off, but the Spirit Cypher's there for Cuckoo isn't enough to keep him alive. Well, not with a rotation like that, surely from Mugi. He's getting brought down low. The caster might just save as it bounces between, but he's gone. The Black Cannon flies through. Mugi gets one, and they'll get themselves a second. Newbee reacting very nicely to Cuckoo's aggression. As you said, is this Cuckoo, this hyper-aggressive mid. Newbee that time round. They're ready to bring the Gyro in and punish those players.
Yeah, the Omni helping save his life initially as well. He had one charge just come off cooldown right as he died. Maybe would have saved him, hard to say. He was so focused on running away. Can't really blame him not for using them, but I don't mind that play from Raven. It felt like he was so close to getting the solo kill, and then the Omni TP, it saves the Tinker, but it actually doesn't kill the Death Prophet. It's not until 4 people rotate that he dies. Problem is, there was a ripple effect where he dies, but then also the support comes in, so TNC lose 2 heroes, Exorcism's used, so it is still definitely a win for Newbee, even though it felt like a pretty calculated bit of aggression.
Once again, maybe for attempts at SCC's life, they do have Sand King from behind, setting up Tims, goes in with the Burrow Strike, 2-man silence from Cuckoo, coming in with the Maledict. The Paralytic Cask only bounces the once, but it seems to be enough. They take down SCCC, they have the lasso back on KP, will repel himself, since the 4 want to chase, a little hard with that repel Dominite, and now they may pay themselves. There's a glimpse back on Cuckoo, but the trap quite not set. Not quite set by Kaka, so they won't be able to hold him down. So TNC get away with the kill, and big moves from Raven. Repositions himself from the bottom lane to the top, sees an opportunity, moves in with the Metamorphosis, and they get a tier 1 tower as well, TNC.
TNC's ability to punish rotations by pushing buildings is fantastic. When you've got Terrorblade and Death Prophet, 2 of the best pushes in the game, so you defend mid or you react to Death Prophet to Tinker getting ganked, suddenly TB's taking top.
Oh, and there's another one. Kaka. Not expecting the 2 of them waiting quite there. He'll get taken down. We'll see if Mugi could get some kills in response. Does have the cooldown onto 2. Hoping missile onto Tims to cancel the Soundstorm, but Sam H is there. He's ready to help them look for a second kill, TNC. Going in with the Firefly on top of Mugi, knocking back the Gyro as well. A big kill for TNC. They're getting Mugi out, and this time being able to punish Newbee for their over-aggressive plays, sending that Gyro in as... I mean, you saw it there. He wanted to go in. He was on his own. He'd seen the Disruptor down, felt that he could get a kill. But there was still that tier 1 tower there. It's still a very risky place for the Gyro to be alone.
Oh yeah. Having that lane ward, they knew Gyro's down there, and then they just happened to fall onto the Disruptor who's walking in, likely trying to get a ward behind the tower. Very common. Like, before you go for that bottom lane push, you want to get some wards either behind the tower or right by the tower in the jungle area. And while TNC are there, get the easy pick off, and Gyro should not have gone running in to try and help there. And ultimately, TNC rotations and just map awareness has been fantastic for them as they get a lot of kills out of this early game.
And looking at sort of the difference in the two mid laners, I mean, net worth is only about 1k, but there's a clear 2-level difference between Cuckoo and SCCC. Level 6 on SCCC at the moment, level 8 on this Death Prophet. It just goes to show you how much they have been getting out of these movements mid and these kills that Cuckoo's been able to get involved in very early on.
Yeah, those levels matter. That can be the kind of difference between a couple of minutes on your boots of travel time, since it does affect how many points you have in March. He doesn't have rearm yet because of it. With Soul Ring and rearm, yeah, there we go. He gets level 7, gets rearm now, but he didn't have it at level 6, so he couldn't actually really commit to the jungle as early as he would have liked to.
See what they can get done down here, Newbee. But again, that wall was still there, so TNC almost certainly have seen the majority of these heroes head down. Missile coming in onto Sam H. Newbee desperately wanting to sort of bait out a play onto the Gyro. TNC definitely the wiser to this move, and Sam H is playing it very careful on the side.
Yep. Hard to go for this. He's just going to Firefly and bait you really deep in. Multiple TPs under the tower. Not really something you want to mess with.
And they realise now as well that it's just not going to be a kill or an objective that's going to work out. And also whilst this is happening, Raven's just getting more space. He's been on this top bit of the map for the last few minutes, getting a tower, getting numerous waves as he keeps the pressure pushed in. Raven just getting that little bit more out of the map than he is at the moment.
So patient from Newbee, and there's even a Radiant Ward that's been there scouting out all these dire heroes, so they know exactly where Newbee are. It really feels like it's playing in TNC's hands when they're the ones with all the information, the map vision. Death Prophet, they're farming in more places, assuming Death Prophet doesn't get caught.
Cuckoo, silence and pops the exorcism as well that Cyphers. Is he going to be enough to keep him alive? He's doing his best, but with 4 heroes, surely Cuckoo can't survive here. And indeed he can't. Try as he might with all of the spells at his repertoire, but it couldn't quite keep him alive. And that's a DP down that has expended the exorcism, so a nice value takedown for Newbee. And again, they're sort of stepping up the reactions to this mid lane as they know that this Death Prophet's going to be sitting there, and they seem prepared for Cuckoo to make those sort of plays so they can react in time.
That's kind of the strength of the 5% Disruptor. You can TP in and always get that catch. You don't need a Blink Initiator when you've got a glimpse.
There we go. That way. They were sort of waiting. They didn't have any detection. They had the static cell backup, and they will manage to get Tims for that one. Well, though, SCCC, he just walked into a Batrider. Do they have the damage? They've got the Maledict in the Death Corner with the Firefly. They certainly do. 1437 will go down for it, but that's SCCC giving his life away there. And Sam H gets the easiest lasso of his life there.
He's done hardly anything for the Witch Doctor kill as well. Doesn't even feel like he got much for that. And, well, TNC may be able to take this bottom tier 1 tower with the TB being down here.
And Raven continue to have very much an uninterrupted game. As Newbee have still yet to be able to get their hands on him, but of course, as we mentioned earlier with the Tinker, it's all about getting to that point where, as long as you haven't lost your base, you are going to be very, very strong against the TV high ground push if you have the axe and such. But they've got to get there. Newbee, there's the power. Catch of Kaka.
He fulfilled his purpose. He's like, alright, I'm going to go run forward, scout out if they're TPing in, because again, if Disruptor TP's in, you're not running away. A hero like Terrorblade is actually pretty bad against the Disruptor because of that. You want to kind of split push towers, but if it, somehow Disruptor swoops in and gets that Thunderstrike on you, you can't actually run away from a glimpse Static Storm, and at that point you're not getting a Sunder off either. So we're seeing Newbee really utilize this Disruptor pick perfectly. It has kept them in the game right now. They've actually had a really bad kind of early game, and Disruptor has found all of these picks are because of him.
Yeah, I mean, Disruptor's always been one of those heroes that's very good against these sort of teams that, you know, they're not going to play passive. TNC are going to be looking for those early engagements. And always going to be one of the best heroes to punish any sort of mispositioning.
Yeah, and TNC are kind of playing this game where we're going to push towers where you're not, and then once you come to defend, we're running away. But well, Disruptor, as we've seen time and time again, great against that.
Yeah. Will manage to get himself out of the Static Storm, and in fact, the Glimpse doesn't get him back into it. So Tim's with another Burrow Strike. Can he get himself out of it? I mean, he
can TP even right now.
He's going to give them a little bit of a run for it, that's for sure. Another field will get laid down. Tim should have Burrow Strike back up in a second, but it's not going to be soon enough. Purification is more than enough damage to take down Tim's.
I feel like he should have just TP'd. There would have been a burst damage from the Purification, and they would have needed a couple right clicks. But
yeah, I think if he TP'd straight after he did the 2-man Burrow Strike, yeah, it would have definitely had a chance. Mid lane, though, Cuckoo just gets his hands onto SCCC and just runs down the Tinker. At the same time, down bottom, Samich with the Flame Break knocked back onto the Tusk, dragging him into the clutches of his teammates, takes down Faith. And you see Mugi there did try and make a bit of a go onto Cuckoo in revenge for SCCC losing his life, but Cuckoo with the Ghost up will force him out of his own jungle and head down towards bottom. This is 15 minutes in, and TNC taking what should be a tier 2 tower. We'll see if Newbee can hold. Kaka to head forward.
No Metamorphosis makes it a bit trickier. Right now, TNC don't have ultimates after this exercise wears off.
Okay, they'll play it safe.
Yeah, Metamorphosis just come back up. I was kind of curious, like, oh, I thought he would have had it, but looks like it was used early on.
Up top, look for the setup. Do pop the car, scout.
No mana for Death Ward.
KP's got the repel.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Ambitious attempt, but I think they wanted to get. They were done with bottom lane anyways. It's kind of the stage of the game where you want to pressure top. You've got one ward there, so they're going to try and take over the enemy jungle, push that T2 tower at some point, farm their own jungle. So not the biggest problem that they suddenly find themselves with 3-4 heroes up here.
Things certainly going to get a bit scarier for Newbee now that Samich has the Blink Dagger. I mean, we've seen already how much he's been able to do with this bat without it. So now that he has that as well. Yeah,
and Tusk Snowball Save, as much as it can be hyped up as a counter to a lot of things, you really need a Blink Dagger to counter a bat right there. And once bat, by that time Bat has 4, so he's going to be lassoing someone pulling away from you. It gets very tricky to play against Bat, even as a Tusk.
Let's see what Newbee can do here. They smoke up, ready to try and catch someone out. Samich already keeping himself rather hidden in the trees. Can they find out this Bat? They are going to have the high ground. Spot him out now. Kaka does have the Static Storm, so they should have good control from him, and indeed they do. Drag back Samich, take down the Bat. Makes things a little safer across the map for 30 seconds as Newbee know that there's no Bat to worry about. Can they get anything more though? That's the question. Moving in on top lane, Raven pushing in the tower. I'm just going to have to let that one go, Newbee. Raven does have teammates around him. Newbee coming into the neighborhood, but TNC, they're going to be honest to make the first jump. Straight in with the Maledicts and the Burrow Strike onto Kaka. Disruptors down, KP. Most of them, he just looked to try and retreat, pops the repel, and indeed does start to just walk himself out of that. Metamorphosis has been popped by Raven, and he's going to get the chance to use it with control onto Faith, who has to go for the snowball play, but he is not surviving this one, surely, as Raven turns with the physical damage. It will be enough to bring him down. TNC get another couple of kills, punishing Newbee for that. A little bit of an awkward movement back into their own half of the map when they knew that TNC was likely to be around that TB push.
Yeah, they were there and they had the vision. They kind of had the high ground where Witch Doctor scouts them out. Then TB knows he can just pop Metamorph, come in, burst down a Disruptor. Here come Newbee trying to stop this Roche.
Can they do anything special there? It's getting low. KP's going to head in for the GA, but it's already taken. Raven picks up the Aegis. They do manage to pop the Aegis immediately and take down both Samich and Cuckoo. And they're going to be able to get Raven down for a second. Tumble certainly has us under buying some time, but the homing missile connects. Raven's held in place, and they lose 3 TNC. Not getting the Roshan on the Aegis, Newbee, but getting an incredible team fight win for them there, as they have been sort of being picked apart time and time again with the movements of TNC. But their team fight, KP's heads-up decision, just charging with the GA, caused just a perfect setup for Newbee in that very confined area.
Everyone getting caught in the cooldown just spelled absolute doom for them, and they're going to find another. Again, Disruptor setting up these kills.
Tim's thought he was safe and sound, farming away with the Sandstorm, but Sentry was down, and Newbee had the setup for a further one. So Newbee really starting to absolutely get things back on track. It's never been quite hugely a tool for TNC. It's been very close to 2K, but that swing back down off the back of seeing how well Newbee can fight as a team, and that's going to put Gyrocopter back at the top of the net worth this game, ahead of Raven's Terrorblade, despite the fact that TNC have been able to take a fair few towers, and certainly a lot more towers than the side of Newbee, who, as of now, only taken 1 tier 1 tower.
Yeah, that's crazy how close it is, considering all that. And Newbee only a couple kills ahead, but the Roshan and the later game kills, these are the more important ones. Those early game pickoffs don't quite matter as much. And definitely a Roche that TNC will be regretting back at this one. They just couldn't quite bring it down fast enough. I was just impressed by Newbee. They just moved there and reacted so fast. A glimpse back on Raven.
It's a cheeky one from Kaka there from the high ground, sends him back, so takes a little longer to react to the creeps pushing in up top.
See what happens like, whoa, this Disruptor is fast.
I like this, rushing the Aghanims. I mean, he's going to have it probably before any sort of BKBs come out, right? At this rate. So then, TNC, they are probably going to still want to get BKBs because there's going to be a Tinker defending this high ground. But it's going to be at the same time the Axe is there on the Disruptor.
That's one way to play against a TV who you know is almost certainly going to get a BKB.
I like that.
Because you're versing a Tinker. I mean, the Disruptor alone is often enough for a Terrorblade to go for the BKB build, just because you don't have unless you can be godly and mad to dodge glimpses, which is, no one does that unless you're Arteezy or something. But yeah, this is a fantastic item this game, and going to cause TNC a lot of problems.
See things settle down a little bit once again. I think TNC do want to make sure that they just continue to get the farm. We're able to see it here again, this team fight. And as you say, you know, any time that the cooldown's connecting on 3 like that, when you have the team behind you ready to fight, it's always going to be pretty impossible for a team at the stage of the game where there isn't any sort of BKBs to have any chance to react to that amount of damage.
Would have been a bit better if TB got Sunder off during his first life, because that was when he had the Metamorph still up. But even so, he might have got 1 kill, but he was definitely dying twice there, so wouldn't have made the biggest difference. I think for TNC, they needed someone outside the pit to intercept Newbee coming in, whether it's a Witch Doctor. Sand King's normally the ideal one. Batrider has a blink, just something to buy time. Sand King stands there, he sees him coming, just Burrow Strike, throw away your life so your team can finish up Roche.
Very, very close there from Tims. Goes for the blink Burrow Strike after the March is cast, but at the same time, CCC blinking out of that position. And of course his axe is going to be getting closer and closer. He's about halfway there at the moment on the Tinker, and as we've been saying, that really does become the point where any sort of high ground attempt from TNC is going to get infinitely harder.
And he hopes TNC had to try and close things up in the kind of mid-game. It's kind of taken away at this point. Losing that Roche, Tinker getting Ags, they now have to start thinking about their own late game. Which is always going to be tough. You have to itemize differently because you are versing the Tinker as well as the Omni Knight. Ideally try and get some way of taking off Guardian Angel, whether that's like a nullifier type item, whatever it may be. Same for the TB, you got to think about Tinker, getting your BKBs, but Newbee themselves, they're itemizing for late game. They know, well, this game's going to drag out. How do we beat these, counter these coming late game items? Let's get a Disruptor Axe. So this Disruptor Axe is going to be very influential.
Dagger picked up by Cook. It seems to be that's more of a trend now with Death Prophet. Much in the past, it wasn't really an item that I would associate very strongly with the DP, but more recently, it seems to be the item of choice for a lot of pro players. I guess what is it? Are you just looking at the back line, and it's very important for you to get in position for the silence, or?
Absolutely, getting to the key targets. Normally, the heroes that are presented to you as Death Prophet heroes, you just don't want to go on. Gyro in the front, he's going to be repelled up, or potentially even eventually have a BKB of his own. Getting right to the back lines onto the Disruptor, the Tusk, the heroes that are pesky but squishy. These big playmakers. Omni is be nice, except it's got a Yule Scepter, so the silence isn't going to really be too effective against him. But even forcing him to self-heals could be like a few seconds where he's taken out the fight.
Oh, it's Kaka a little out on his own here down bottom. And that will be a very free kill there for TNC. He came down maybe hunting for some experience and such, but he will pay the price.
Yep. See if we can get the tier 2 bottom tower. There's Tinker again though, so maybe not. Kook is at the... You see a lot of Glimmer Cape on Death Prophet. Fear was often going in as his kind of second item pickup. Might be what he has in mind with that casual float.
See what they can do here, Tims. With the Epicenter holding in on the sidelines, Newbee are ready to react. That tier 2 very, very low.
It doesn't feel like a tier 2 Newbee needs to defend by any means, but if they think they can win the fight, then they may as well.
See what Savage can do is getting the vision with the Firefly. Look to come in, jumps in, he's looking for the backline, he's trying to go for Fate, but he doesn't need to because the silence is already there from the Death Prophet. They come in with the Epicenter, Mugi reacting with the cooldown, but they've already lost the Tusk. One down on Newbee. It's TNC, Savage and Tim's falling very, very low. Kuku and Raven able to push back the rest of the side of Newbee as they get the space for the tower, get the kill, and they get out of there.
Yep. Good Epicenter. It felt like the Bat was going to be the hero to watch and the key initiator, but in the end it was actually Sand King doing more than him. And great bit of play there as he just went jumping in, doing as much as he could. So tier 2 tower and a support kill, but ultimately it kind of pushes TNC's economy a bit further along and gives them some much needed catch up as the last fight did not go so well for them. Felt like it's great when you have a hero like Sand King initiating with an Epicenter, Burrow Strike, hitting multiple heroes and all that AoE damage, because suddenly Omni's like, he blinked in and was like, what do I do? Who do I heal? Who do I repel? There's a couple heroes who are taking damage. It wasn't a clear target like the Batrider. The Batrider gives you an obvious target that needs to be repelled, healed up, when they get lassoed, but the Sand King is kind of that more chaotic option where I didn't feel like the Omni could make the clearest call when he blinked in as a kind of counter initiator.
I'm going to see up top, Raven straight for Mugi. Kaka will reveal his position. In fact, Kaka and Mugi, rightfully so, a little scared of this as Raven continues to charge towards them. Now all the TP's coming through, CCC's there, and TNC won't continue to chase. In fact, Raven getting caught out by the Static Storm. Actually managing to get the grab there, Kaka, yeah.
Like he used the Manta to try and dodge it, but no luck.
The Yules, KP, looking for a follow-up kill for the side of Newbee. They've got the Snowball connecting onto 1437, and SCCC will get the double.
Yeah, kind of weird from the TB, just ran up top, saw the Disruptor, and then chased it.
Yeah, it was incredibly aggressive, yeah.
He could have just backed off a bit, being like, alright, Disruptor. I guess it's always scary. It's like, oh, I just ran to a Disruptor. If I try and run from him, he's going to coach me back. So you have to at least pretend to have teammates behind you. That's the kind of mentality there. It's like, alright, if I just run away like I'm alone, he's going to kill me, but if I run at him, he might think I have teammates behind me.
That was nice as well. Straight in, they get the jump onto Mugi. He's got Kaka with him, but there's nothing that Kaka or Faith can do to save him. In fact, they themselves may be in trouble. Faith's going to buy himself some time with the Snowball. Being surrounded by 4 heroes of TNC, there's no escape, so TNC will hit back just as quickly, getting both of them. And nice read as well there. I believe Cuckoo blinking in, procking the Lincolns with the Yules, setting up for the Blink Bat Rider Lasso. And that was literally just as the Lincolns got picked up by the Gyro. So good to see TNC being able to work around it immediately.
I believe they saw Omni mid, which was the other big part. You see this Omni mid, you're like, well, this guy's alone top. Not alone, but he hasn't got his key protector. KP has this Blink Dagger, which is a great item against the Bat because it's always your teammates who are getting lassoed, then pulled away by a 4-star, so you can't get that heal repel on them unless you've got a mobility item. So the Blink...
Look at this.
Wow, they're getting catch Tinker.
Oh, they messed the boat.
Okay.
Oh, okay, the repel was there.
Yeah.
Just in time, so CCC able to get away. They've got the exorcism out, but they'll still be able to make use of it as they go towards the tier 2 tower in mid lane. Fortification comes through from Newbee, and they're trying their best to push this one off with the spam of the rockets. But Cuckoo will stand his ground, and we'll get the tier 2 tower at least. Oh, he's a little scared. Okay, see a Newbee come in.
He was hiding in the trees because he doesn't get glimpse back. It's like, if I just show myself here, then these heroes are respawning and get glimpse. That was actually very clever from him to make sure he doesn't get caught on the retreat. Something very common. Go for a push, you get the tower.
Oh, look at this as well. Sam H. He's found SCCC here, trying to hide in the tree line, but he comes across. It feels like he's been caught out a few times. In that mid lane he got saved, but he was sitting on the front lines. He's got to be careful on this Tinker.
Yeah, that was incredibly fast to get that back up to that top lane. Like, Tinker should have been safe there considering how recently TNC were in mid, but they just skyrocketed to the top, found the pick. Tinker dead, and they're actually smoking as 4. They are, and ill-advised play, but I think it's because it's ill-advised that it could theoretically work, you know?
I mean, I guess they know that there's no exorcism, so
yep.
It certainly makes the fights a little nicer. But
TNC, like, they're not going to be expecting a smoke play when you've just killed a Tinker, so...
And that would be a big kill, Cuckoo.
Oh, he's got Blink though. Pops it, instant blinks away. Radiant Ward on that cliff, so... See this vision for TNC, again, being very helpful. Bottom lane, when they dived the tier 2 tower, they had the ward on the cliff, so... Constantly TNC getting good fights around their vision that time around. Not so much a fight, but... Popping smoke, escaping. See how TNC do when this initiation from Bat gets taken away, as well as the Sand King Burrow. Both spells that get blocked by Lincolns, which is something it seems Newbee are getting a couple of.
He's caught out here. Potentially they have the homing missile and the cooldown. Cooldown won't quite connect, but the homing missile, that will indeed. KP and Kaka there as well. Static Storm drop down. No messing around from Kaka, ensuring that they get the kill onto the Terrorblade. Maybe even more. They look towards Sam H. Mugi on the front lines, chasing him down with the Rocket Barrage. Claims the double kill. Newbee get 2 quick kills onto the cores. Again, Raven has to be careful with the way that he's pushing out those lanes. Being caught out initially alone. Very, very easy kill and easy setup, especially with Kaka now having the Aghanims complete on Disruptor.
It's been a bit sloppy from TNC more than anything, you know. They're finding these picks, these decent fights, but then they're giving away these really dumb pickoffs. Like Terrorblade's deaths this game have been somewhat inexcusable. He wasn't really getting anything out of being in the locations where he died, and just kind of fed away his life really poorly. And then often there's this second kill. Oh, TV's dying, gotta go run in and try and help him, 4-staff him or something. Oh, I'm dead too. So it just seems like half of Newbee's kills this game would be silly pickoffs. Whereas TNC, the kills they're getting are much more coming from like well-coordinated moves and smoking out there, playing overall not very well when they are being aggressors, but they're just not playing well during the downtime.
Cuckoo very close to having the KB complete. And as we said, he has to be wary of that static storm. But if he can play around that, it'll still be very nice against this Tinker this game. And both him and Raven do now have complete. I mean, do you feel, is this game on a bit of a timer for TNC, or can they sort of stall it out and push now? Does it really make a difference if they push now or in 30 minutes with this sort of lineup? Can they take it late themselves?
They can take it late. It's going to come down to how they play around and maneuver around Lincoln spheres, because when you take away the easy initiation of Blink Burrow, Blink Lasso, it's a very different kind of game, and Newbee's going to have, I think, a couple Lincolns, a Lotus Orb on Tuxkit looked like was being built, so these items are difficult to deal with, and something that can be very problematic for a hero like Batrider in a late game. You suddenly see this fall off sometimes just because there's 3 Lincolns on enemy cores, and it's like, well, how do I start a fight when they've got Lincolns? And you need that force out to pull them back, or that time where you're trying to break the Lincolns and then lasso them, you get stunned, so it's very difficult to play in these spheres.
Well, we have Newbee threatening the base. They have that Aegis on Mookie. KP at the moment, I believe, holding the cheese for this siege. TNC do to try and stop this. They are here as the full 5. They do want to try and take this head on, but it's a difficult push to stop with the marching machines getting laid down, making it very hard for TNC to sort of get stuck in on the front lines. As Moogie, he is getting away with taking this tower, no trouble whatsoever. They smoke up behind him so they can look to try and find a critical jump, and indeed gives them the chance to lasso him back. Maledict's down, but the repel's already out from KP onto Moogie. He may not even lose his life if he wants it, as he backs away, back into the clutches. It's going to be close.
That one purification, solving a big chunk of Maledic damage.
It's pretty big for Newbee. They protect the Aegis. They are able to heal him back up with the urn, and then he goes again for another push. Can they try again? KP jumps in, yours onto the Death Prophet, but he's stuck now in the Static Storm. Mookie just moves forward onto Cuckoo. Does he have the damage to bring him down? The GA's there as well from KP, keeping him alive, allowing him to take down the DP. Ravens popped his BKB, trying to turn the fight around, but TNC, they've already lost 3. It's a double kill for Mookie. They get the glimpse back onto Raven. Raven does find the Sunder, but he's in too much trouble himself. The Thunder Strike and the physical from Moogie pummels in, takes him down. It's going to be a team wipe almost certainly, as Tim's the last one to go down. Triple kill for Moogie. There's no buybacks available on TNC as Newbee get away with the top racks. And maybe they can't get more. There's still tier 2s in the other lanes. They won't be able to end the game. So the fact that those tier 2s still stand are definitely TNC's saving grace here. But a bit of a scrappy fight. They'll try and push on. I mean, there is no buybacks on 4 of them. They're not the quickest of pushers.
Take a tier 4, you know.
Yeah.
They're not going to end the game.
No.
Are they going to end the game? No.
I mean, it's 20 seconds.
It'll be,
I think they realise there's no buyback.
They'll get both tier 4s here,
Okay.
and they'll get the throne. The throne will be low by the time these heroes respawn. TB, I mean, they'll start trickling out as they're going for the throne. They're not GGing out. TNC realize, we're going to be respawning. There's one last round. Newbee aren't they're not even going for the throne. They know the respawns are coming. Let's play it safe. Get this tier 2 so we can get another lane of racks. Take the shrines. And be a bit more methodical about it. Newbee's a pretty low-risk team, generally speaking. And yeah, great high ground push there. For TNC, they had the right idea. They have so few ways to break that Lincoln to set up the lasso. Yes, Jar has Aegis, but he still has to be the lasso target. Pull him deep in your basement tier 4s and can't kill him, bring him down. They couldn't kill him though, and the reason that's the case is KP repels it, but they still could have killed him if they committed more. They had Exorcism, they had Death Ward, they needed to use those spells, at least one of them, to bring Gyro down by the tier 4s. I think it was a big mistake not committing more ultimates.
Oh, Tim's, he's going to try and commit, jumps in with the Burrow Strike straight away onto SCCC. The stun's going to be there though in time onto the Batrider, holding him in place. They'll punch him up as well. They've lost the Sand King. Raven will move forward, able to claim the life of SCCC. Moogie falling low as well. Purification will keep him alive for the time being, but the Maledict should bring him down once. Aegis is popped. Newbee, they have lost 2 around him. Can TNC get more? They'll find Kaka. Can they bring down Moogie a second time? That's the question. Moogie and KP committing straight away in onto Cuckoo, but the Glimmer Cape keeping him alive for the time being. KP is going to be used up in the air. Moogie on the side. He's actually going to be able to finish off Raven. Triple kill for Moogie. Despite TNC's best efforts, is it going to be enough? They do get to the Omni Knight. Can Cuckoo do anything about Moogie? He's toying around with that one. Was thinking about going back in. The Exorcism does wear out though. Cuckoo's back to full health. And only 2 survivors there. A bit of a messy one. I mean,
It's a two-man show, that one. Gyro and Death Prophet.
but all in all, I guess this is good news for TNC. You stop them from getting a second set of racks.
Yeah,
it's a fight where everyone pretty much dies, but...
That's not a lost fight for them.
No.
Gyro ends up pretty rich off of it, as does Death Prophet.
Oh, was he going straight Rapier? Oh, he's going Nullifier.
Nullifier.
Yeah, okay.
Take out those items. Also, potentially useful Purge in some situations, although they're not the ones against the Omni Knight. So...
And this Gyro is an absolutely massive Moogie.
Yep.
This
About to
stage.
hit 25 too,
Yeah.
which is pretty annoying when you get those extra homing missiles. Which I presume he will be getting. Global cooldown, a bit of a meme. Not even a meme, it's just garbage. I don't know. Think
Does
call
anyone
that
ever
meme.
take that?
No.
Oh, no.
It is absolutely awful.
I
One of
mean,
the worst
back
level
in the
25.
day, you had to buy an Aghanims for that.
Yeah,
You know, that's the crazy thing.
It was
No one
awful
did
then
it.
as well. Back in the day, cooldown used to do about twice the damage it does now. That was when
Gyro, yeah. Rocket
was-
Barrage just insta-killed heroes level 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cooldown. I think like the first and second hit both did like an extra like 50 to 100 damage. It was a good hero then. Now his magic damage is not so much a thing.
Nah.
Yet still global cooldown. I think even if you had that at like maybe level 10 you'd get it. Level 15 or 20. I don't know if you'd get
level
it.
10 it's a
Yeah.
must get, surely. If it was level 10. That's
I don't know. Plus, what is it? Plus 25 damage? Plus 30 damage? That's good damage.
It's plus 25.
Yeah. I don't know. Plus 25
It's
damage
very nice for the
versus
fact, yeah.
global cooldown. I might take the 25 damage. Exorcism grants haste, or both DPs are pretty good. We almost always see the haste for the pure utility, but I think at least she has a viable second option in this case.
Sure.
If you've got a lot of movement speed and a blink dagger, so maybe you don't think you need the haste if you've got blink, phase, yules. Could just go for the pure raw damage.
I mean, the experience, how much of an increase, how many does she have normally with the...
24.
24,
So
okay.
it's not quite a 50% increase. It's but it's a decent chunk.
Big, what was it? 33%.
Yep. Some EU maths right there.
Well, what's going on here? They managed to find themselves a bit of a catch. Static Storm's down. Only going to catch onto the Witch Doctor. Raven on the sidelines to get the chance for the Metamorphosis. He's actually going to be able to get a fair bit of damage onto Moogie. Moogie's falling very low. In fact, Moogie's down for 100 seconds. Cuckoo and Raven able to commit with the BKB. Newbee's lost 2. Tims comes in with a Burrow Strike, catching out Kaka. Disruptor's gone as well. Triple kill for Cuckoo. And TNC, they may be not done quite yet. They're trying to chase down KP. He does have the repel. Tims with the pings. He knows that there's a Tinker about, but SCCC will be able to blink away. I'm going to continue to try and hunt for KP.
Don't put your Lincolns away.
Can KP get out of it?
He needs his Lincolns. He's like, I need my TP. Now he's like, I need my
second.
Lincolns.
Oh! He does get the
Okay.
repel blink off.
Okay, now he's got his TP back in. He's like, shit, which one do I need in my backpack?
He's making quite a run for it here. Sam H coming back round. SCCC can come in for backup, but KP's going to be able to play it off.
Doesn't even come close to dying there.
Nah, he knows. He knew. He knew it was fine.
The only panic was which item he needed, but he didn't even need his TP scroll in the end.
But
Great
still,
fight.
I know absolutely. Yeah, Cuckoo again getting a triple kill. This, he's going absolutely ham on the Death Prophet in these engagements. And he is starting to swing the game back in the direction towards TNC, but they've got to have a couple more of those fights still. It's such a lead Newbie got after that push up top, sweeping the racks and such. Are going to need a few more of those TNC as there is still quite the advantage and lead for Newbie, especially with just how much they have on their cores, how big Moogie's Gyro is at this stage of the game.
Terrorblade's not really doing enough damage. Like, yeah, he kills Gyro. He is doing good damage, but he hasn't got a damage item yet. He's going into Lincoln, so he's going to have 3 fairly defensive items, plus Dragonlance. Feels like he's going to need like a Daedalus to go with his BKB, or a Bloodthorn, something just for some pure single target right-click damage. Don't think you want to go for another tanky Skadi-esque item. It's just not going to be worth it. No. We'll see, though, if TNC can get another good fight. This Exorcism is proving very difficult to fight into. Arcane Rune has been bottled up as well for the next fight, so it's going to be a much lower cooldown as well on all of his spells. It'll be very problematic.
Yeah, Tim's queuing up an Aghanims. I think KP as well was also looking towards Aghanims once he gets there.
TNC, I don't know if they want to go for Ocean. They actually ended up last time.
It was
They're going to be scarred.
a very risky place to fight, considering Newbie's lineup is having, especially with its Axe Disruptor as well. That's never going to be easy. You have to get kills before heading towards the pit. And to be fair, with TNC's lineup, if they're getting kills, they're going to want to be pushing with a Death Prophet and a Terrorblade rather than necessarily going for Rush.
Force the buybacks, whatever it may be. quickly blink away from the gyro. Good position. He wants to go for the disruptor.
He's going to look for it straight away onto Kaka. They put the BKBs as Samage comes forward as well. They'll be able to take down Disruptor. Can they get more? Cuckoo heading straight against the two-man silence. The Siphon as well blinks forward as he continues to chase down both the Tusk and the Gyro. Moogie falling relatively low here. They'll have the Nullifier onto the Death Prophet, causing a little bit of an issue, so Cuckoo can't continue to chase that one. But still, they found one kill. They'll look towards KP, but KP quick with the blink out after the Yules. Will continue to run himself away and should be fine. So TNC do get a kill, but it's a lot of BKB charges, exorcisms committed, and you are just getting a disruptor.
They might get Roche as the perhaps big claim.
Sure. It's a DD. I mean, there we go. Yeah.
That's what I wish it was there next time. They probably watched that Liquid game, and Liquid had a DD right when they needed it for Roche.
I mean, Newbee are heading straight over.
This time around, TNC will try and intercept them.
Oh, Moogie gets the chance to pop out the BKBs, the Lincolns, pop the Burrow Strike. They are going to be able to push TNC away from the pit.
No Metamorph now.
No Metamorphs, no BKBs for the side of TNC for now. They have to back off. Going to see the chase there. The BKB now back available. Raven able to get it off just in time before the homing missile connects. So they'll get themselves away, but they can't quite get the Roche. They need to get more than just a disruptor kill.
Yeah, this should be a free Newbie Roche. TNC will have the X's pretty quickly, I imagine, because of the Arcane Rune. Not sure if that's going to come up in time for them. Death Prophet.
Faith. Okay. We'll tank this as they jump in. Do commit lasso through it. Take one down. Can they get towards the pit?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
He's already down.
Faith did what I think TNC needed to do with that first Roche, which is just run in, find out where they are, throw away your life, secure Roche.
Yeah.
Last time around, no one scouted, no one delayed the opposing team coming in, and as a result, TNC died in the pit. So, very good play by Faith there, even though it does look like a bit of a feed.
I mean, the fights are going to get... for the next one, this is going to be very hard with the Refresher Shard on KP, having that sort of double GA and such. It's going to be very hard for this team, as you've mentioned already, who do sort of suffer in the physical damage to be able to fight into.
Oh yeah, they...
Axe Omni as well as...
Yeah, they need to perhaps target him. Not sure. I like the idea of the last fight where you go in the Disruptor first, take out the Ag Static Storm, but this felt like a bit too much thrown in. I'm not sure where the lasso went as well. It looked like it went on Omni Knight's Lincoln Sphere in that top fight. I saw the Lincolns pop and Bat was on over him, and then KP just bought so much time with the phase, Yules, Blink build, where he's just like using himself, then blinking away. He should have died there. He was in the middle of like 3 enemy heroes and somehow escapes, so he really is proven to be very problematic. And again, talk about the late game against Lincoln Sphere as being such a challenge to play into, and that really is being showcased here by Newbee.
Definitely coming to the point where we may see Newbee once again go for that high ground push. They have the Aegis, also a cheese as well on Moogie, and the Refresher Shard.
Hell, hit, blackout.
Wish Doctor, he's out of there. He's not surviving that. In fact, he's going to be gone as well. Potentially the cooldown coming through. He's trying to get himself out of range, but the glimpses there, dragging it back. Can they keep Tim's alive? Looks like they can. BKB pop from Moogie as he looks towards Cuckoo. So homing missile coming inbound as well. Moogie did commit the BKB for this one. Will allow them to take down the tier 3 though. Newbee still standing strong on the high ground of TNC. Can TNC force them back? Proc the Lincolns with the paralyzing cast. Newbee backing off a little bit. Exorcism is there and Metamorphosis. TNC do have the big team fight ults.
Just keep repelling Gyro, and they're going to do just that.
Yeah, with the Lotus Orb on him as well. Moogie's pretty much untouchable. The flat cannon just bringing TNC's heroes down lower and lower on the sidelines. Sam H did commit the BKB as well for that, but he still couldn't find an opportunity to jump in. With the Lotus Orbs, with this Lincolns, it's so hard for TNC to kick off the fight in any sort of manner.
I think at this point, someone like Death Prophet just has to ulti and blink in and hope for the best, because I'm not sure what else they've really got. You've got a BKB, so you can at least preempt BKB as soon as you jump in, so you don't get silenced by a Disruptor.
Here we go. He's going to do exactly that. They do manage to set up for a 2-man Burrow Strike into the silence. GA, first one comes out from KP. Trying to focus towards Moogie, but they just can't do anything to him at this moment in time. Static Storm's laid down. It will be able to trap the Death Prophet in fact, take him down as well. SCCC gets the double kill. Raven's out as well. Triple kill for SCCC. GG, well played is called, as it's all too much for TNC in this later portion of the game. Newbee getting just everything together. They have the perfect itemization to the point where this lineup of TNC just couldn't fight into them at all, as it seemed.
Yeah, the Omni Knight countered both of the big cores, Terrorblade and Death Prophet, and that is kind of the biggest downfall for TNC this game, when neither of those cores could do damage in a team fight, where Omni Knight was being kept alive. So suddenly Omni Knight has to become the target, but he's got this Lincoln's, he's very hard to jump on. They had no easy way to take away Lincoln spheres. It was always like, well, what have you got? You have to get an item to break Lincolns and then try and lasso, so it just seemed like an ongoing struggle for them. And yeah, really well played team fights by Newbee, which has kind of been a staple for the Chinese squad.
Yeah, certain hope they've shown from TNC in the earlier stages to get.
Yeah, they looked really good. I think they showed that their draft was maybe slightly stronger of the two. There was just way too many pickoffs. The TB ran in silly, kind of died 2 or 3 times where he just ran into the Disruptor. We saw a few kind of heroes die as a result of that. A really bad first Roshan. If TNC played this game better, I think they win it.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 going the way of Newbee. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 is going to be soon. And don't go anywhere right now anyway, because we're going to be heading straight back to the analysts.
Quite right too, Owen, yes. We've got some views from Nahaz and Blitz in just a moment, but well done. A game in the bag in the end they got there, didn't they? A little bit sloppy from Newbee. Let's find out what our experts made of that. Alan, we'll start with you. It was a bit sloppy towards the end. They could have won that probably 10 minutes sooner if they'd really concentrated, but get there doesn't really matter in the end. Victory's a victory.
Yeah, I think what Gods had to say in the postgame pretty much sums it up in that when you open the 2 supports, kind of a conservative open, you usually should have an idea of what you're going to pick in the second phase, and so they were at least looking at the Terrorblade and the Death Prophet, and you leave Omni Knight on the table, which counters both. A little oddly, I was looking at some of the stats during the game. Disruptor is actually now 29-11 against Death Prophet.
That's crazy,
in this patch, which you don't necessarily think of that as a classic counter, but it certainly did seem to create some problems for her mobility. And this fight right here was really just your 2 cores in the DP and the Terrorblade, because of the interaction with Exorcism and Meta, they're 2 of the worst Aegis carriers in the game. And TNC sold out for that 18-minute Roshan, and that really set them back in the game.
This was the point, Will, where looked like they were going to push in here and just finish everything off, but ended up getting picked off after getting a couple of racks. I guess the objective-based Dota was what you were saying at the time, wasn't it? Objective, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit weird. Like, I mean, I think Newbee thought they were just going to call it.
Yeah.
They were just like, all right, we took your tier 4s, like, please exit the game now. And TNC had other ideas.
Yeah,
like, I genuinely think that was
GG would have been appropriate at that point.
Yeah, I think they're just like, all right, get out of our game. And when that happens, you get a little bit impatient, so you just like kind of make a little bit of sloppy moves.
Yeah. But no big deal, no problem. Did you feel like as the game went on longer, it was always a Newbee game?
Dude, I thought this
Minute
was, 1, like it was really hard for TNC to win because like the core matchups are really difficult. You have this like Omni Knight who's actually unkillable in this game, and yeah, the Batrider skill's okay. Like I think Batrider is such an interesting hero nowadays, but I think the Omni was way too good against all these heroes, and more importantly, there was going to get a point where the BKB gets low, and Tinker's like just king. Like, he gets a Hex at some point, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, tough game for TNC. Highlights for them though?
Not much. You know, they played some of those later fights really well. It was just, I never really saw, I expected when they picked the Batrider for Sam H5th that he'd be able to get in, and he's so good on that hero in terms of just the single target pickoffs at the beginning of team fights, and I thought he'd be able to get in on either the Tinker or the Omni Knight, his choice, at the start of these fights, and you never really felt that. They picked off Cuckoo on a couple of his, they picked off SCCC on a couple of his side lane pushes, but they weren't getting the kills on the Tinker and the Omni prior to the big engagements that set up their fights.
Yeah, we mentioned SCCC before we came into this particular matchup. What did you make of his first game?
I mean, it was a bit rough in the laning phase. Like, they did a good job of controlling him, but I felt like it was, like, way too good of a Tinker game. Like, I agree with Alan. Like, Tinker's not my favorite SCCC, like, player-hero combination, but at the same time, like, come on, like, you look at that, it feels like a free Tinker game, it looks like a free Tinker game, it is a free Tinker game, you just take it, you're going to win that game. You have to be somewhat okay,
right. And
it's SCCC. Like he's not going to be horrible on it.
No,
he just looks a lot better on other heroes.
Right, and that's the problem, isn't it? Because he looks so much better on some other stuff, you kind of go, well, he looks pretty average on this. He's still at like 90%, and that's fine for a game like this, isn't it?
No problem.
Yeah.
It's enough to do the job. Yeah. He's a versatile player. Like if you see this in a real game, like at a TI, that's the hero that they're going to pick. You might as well get accustomed to it now.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of this is planning for the later day. Do you see any way back into this series for TNC, or is this a hard win now for Newbee?
I mean, I have to see the draft, but TNC's like they're not a bad team at all. Like they team fight well. Fundamentally, like their cores play very well. They have good strategy around them. But draft-wise, I think Newbee just really outdrafted them here.
Yeah,
it's okay, Will. You can call Teeman out.
No.
I think that they can't afford...
Have you buried yourself already this
Everyone's
week?
a tier 1 team. And we're all just here to watch good Dota. Nobody ever messes up in Dota. Everyone's great.
All right, okay, cool. I like the fact he's gone all soft on us. I liked Hard Will. Did you like Hard Will?
I
like Vicious
I like
Will.
Hater. I like Hater.
I like Vicious Will.
I
Vicious
don't know
Will,
if that's the
Savage Will.
term
They're the
that
best
we're-
two of the Wills that I like. They're my favourite Wills.
What?
Yeah, Vicious Will and Savage Will. I'm not sure we're going to see either of those today, unfortunately. He seems to be in good Will mode, which is not great, is it? We're going to find out after the break how it's going to go. Are we going to end our day early today? Because it has been a bit of a short day today. Or could we squeeze in a best of 3 that goes all the way? We're going to find out very shortly with Game 2 of our final matchup of the day. Join us soon for Newbee versus TNC.
Back up with the urn, and then he goes again for another push. Can they try again? KP jumps in, Yours onto the Death Prophet, but he's stuck now in the Static Storm. Mookie just moves forward onto Cuckoo. Does he have the damage to bring him down? The GA's there as well from KP, keeping him alive, allowing him to take down the DP. Ravens popped his BKB, trying to turn the fight around, but TNC, they've already lost 3. It's a double kill for Mookie. They get the glimpse back onto Raven. Raven does find the Sunder, but he's in too much trouble himself. The Thunder Strike and the physical from Mookie pummels in, takes him down. It's going to be a team wipe almost certainly, as Tim's the last one to go down.
As you get older, life becomes all about following a few simple rules.